Excerpts of teachings of Ramana Maharishi from reminiscences of persons contained in the book Face to Face with Sri Ramana Maharishi. Only relevant Maharishi's teaching content has been extracted from the full text of reminiscence of the writer. Dr. Paul Brunton, a British journalist, noted, "Intellect creates its own problems and then makes itself miserable trying to solve them." The Maharshi once told me, "The greatest error of a man is to think that he is weak by nature, evil by nature. Every man is divine and strong in his real nature. What are weak and evil are his habits, his desires and thoughts, but not himself." The gist of his message is, pursue the inquiry, who am I, relentlessly. Analyze your entire personality. Try to find out where the I thought begins. Go on with your meditations. Keep turning your attention within. One day, the wheel of thought will slow down and an intuition will mysteriously arise. Follow that intuition. Let your thinking stop, and it will eventually lead you to the goal. The Maharshi said, "Suffering turns men towards their creator." Dilip Kumar Roy of Sri Aurobindo Ashram noted, "Just be. All is in you. Only a veil stands in between. You have only to rend the veil and then, well, just be." B. Sanjeeva Rao, who belonged to the pre-independence Indian Educational Service, noted, he states that the egoless state is the natural, the real state, that the ego state is the unnatural and the false state. In the egoless condition, the true I stands apart from the apparent reaction of the mind. The ego is the atom of the psychic world. If the disintegration of the atom has given us so much power, what may not be accomplished by the annihilation of this ego self? K.S. Venkatramani, who was an advisor to the former Alwar state or the state of Rajasthan, noted, Sri Bhagavan's sovereign sadhana for self-realization is self-inquiry. It requires no asana or yogic ritual, but a strenuous turning of the mind inward. It is the shortest, though the most rugged shortcut to attain the sublimation of the mind. It is a process that makes the mind first fatigued, annoyed, and churlish. It may set free at first only dense smoke and no spark, like green fuel on fire. But if you persist long enough, you will be surely rewarded with the flame of illumination, smokeless and glowing. Dr. Paul Brunton again noted, the most astounding discoveries will come when our scientists turn away for a while from metal and stone and electricity to examine and explore the nature of the self within the laboratory of man. Scientists already know that the real seeing agent in sight is not the eye, but the mind that uses that organ. They have yet to discover what it is that works the mind, and when they do that, they will come into contact with the real self of man, the being out of whom both mind and body derive their existence and maintain their lives. Ella Maillart, a Swiss traveler and photographer in the 1940s, noted, "We, Westerners, having identified ourselves with our bodies, are convinced that one has to be visibly active. We forget that inactivity is the basis of its corollary activity, that the useful wheel could not exist or move without a motionless center. What do we see in the West of today? Every moment adding to the despair of men lost in fruitless research, hopelessness gaining ground, each one being obliged to seek a solution along alleys, most of which become blind. T. M. Krishnaswamy Iyer, who was the Chief Justice of former Travancore state, now Kerala, noted, Bhagavan Ramana has frequently told the seekers after truth that if one learns about oneself as every being, the I of itself, one knows oneself as well as the world. It must mean the illumination of the spirit and its upheaval. K. S. Ramaswamy Shastri, who was the Chief Justice of former Pudukkottai state of Tamil Nadu, said, the Maharishi's religion is the most universal of all faiths. Change your mentality. Why change the environment and run into a forest? Attain self-control, self-knowledge and self-reverence. Atma Siddhi is the highest Siddhi. The Maharishi's gospel of self-inquiry is the Upanishadic gospel. It sublimates and merges the mind or ego in the self. In response to Giridharilal's question, when the Kali Yuga, which consists of so many thousand years, would end, Bhagavan said, I don't consider time real, so I take no interest in such matters. We know nothing about the past or the yugas which were in the past, nor do we know about the future, but we know the present exists. Let us know about it first. Then doubts will cease. Time and space always change, but there is something which is eternal and changeless. Giridharilal, resident of Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Pondicherry in 1940s. For example, the world and time, past or future, nothing exists for us in sleep, but we exist. Let us try to find out that which is changeless and which always exists. How will it benefit us to know that the Kali Yuga started in such and such year and that it would end so many years from now? Regarding the devotee's query as to why the Puranas give the exact duration of each Yuga, Bhagavan replied, the immensity of the periods of time assigned to each Yuga may be a mere device to draw man's attention to the fact that even if he lived up to 100 years, his life is such a trifling, insignificant fraction of a Yuga. Therefore, he should take a proper view of his humble place in the entire scheme and not go about with a sullen head, deeming himself as of great importance. Instead of saying, what is man's life compared to eternity, they have taught him to consider how short his span is.